Hey everybody, Joe Bergamini here, coming to you once again. Man, that sounded great, grooving, funky. If you asked me who the drummer was, and I didn't know who it was, I would have guessed wrong. The drummer on that song is our guest today. Welcome back, everybody. All my friends, SEN members, come on in. You guys know the drill. Put your comments in. Another Friday, great interview. I'm really excited today. We have an old friend of Sabian, longtime Sabian player, and also someone I've had the privilege of working with on educational products through Hudson Music, like many of the other great drummers of the world, of which he is one. My good friend, Mr. George Kollias. Welcome today, George.
Nice to see you. Thank you for the invitation. I think you're doing a great job. I watched many episodes, and thank you for inviting me.
Oh man, thank you so much for saying that, and it's a pleasure to have you here. So what we just heard, for everybody watching, George is very well known for being one of the most accomplished extreme drummers in the world, playing death metal. He's been with Nile for many years. He has a couple of DVDs out, one of which I was able to work with him at Hudson Music, Intense Metal Drumming, 1 and 2. 2 books, The Odyssey of Double Bass Drumming, in 2 parts, the beginning and the journey, which is forthcoming. I don't have. Yeah, okay.
This is 1. Ooh. And number 2 actually is not released yet. We're printing right now. I'll show you the cover. There you go.
Oh, so cool.
That's the one. Yeah, I'm looking forward.
Got to get my hands on that. And many other projects as a sideman. He's also an educator. He's done hundreds of clinics all over the world, played some of the biggest drum festivals in the world. He's been teaching privately. We're going to talk about all this stuff with the Modern Music School and Lab Music Education, and also has an online school at georgekollias.com. And as we just heard, he's pushing himself in new directions with his playing, which I find to be very exciting. I had the privilege of being sent a track last night that I checked out, and I just told George, you just sound not only like the amazing player you are, but just so musical and so great in these other styles. So that was the brass project, right?
The brass project, I got 2 demos out, which I share with everyone. It's on my YouTube, both of these. And I send you Royal Time Machine.
Okay.
The song,
the one I played at the top was Brass Project, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's the brass thing. Yeah.
So let's just start right there, man. I mean, I think a lot of our viewers probably know you and know your work. So I guess you've been trying to explore new areas of your playing that have you always been playing like fusion in the background, but not publicly, or is this a new thing for you?
Yes and no. I mean, yeah, obviously I spend a lot of time, practicing and get a little bit into jazz, and, the fusion is like a more modern thing, for me. And, that's because of the musicians I found. And, we have this band now, Royal Time Machine. Mm-hmm. So I was always exploring new directions. I love funk, but, I think it's a personal thing. I just want to have fun, and I just want to become better. And I think the only way to do it, honestly, is like to explore other styles that you're not familiar with. For example, I do play a lot of pop music, not in public. I mean, who's gonna hire me, right? That's but I think I do a good job. Just stay there, and mostly I play with very popular songs from YouTube or whatever as a practice routine. And then I just, of course, the brass thing, which is like a funk, some New Orleans funk. The fusion thing now, which we just finished our first debut album,
Mhm.
And man, I spent so much time, like watching some amazing players like Gary Novak, Dave Weckl, my good friend Menio Spasialis,
Yeah.
before the recording, before. So I would spend like an hour listening to these guys and watching and be like, get inspired a little bit. So it's a fun process, in my opinion.
So the guys, I was going to ask you, like when you mentioned you like funk drumming, did you have influences in all those styles like right when you were a kid, or did you pretty much come at it from a metal thing and now you've come to that like later?
I think it started like 2005, 6, somewhere there, because right before that, man, it's a long way to reach a level in extreme metal drumming, and I was like that. I mean, I could groove, I could, I was a little bit of swing and pretty much a little bit of everything. But if you want to make music, it needs like 100%. You need to be 100% focused, like a complete dedication. So yeah, metal took many, many, many years, and that's it. Now I think I'm ready to go in other directions.
Well, you've definitely developed one of the most advanced technical abilities to play metal that I've witnessed, and it's wonderfully documented in your DVDs. Did you who were like when you were started, like who were your favorite drummers then first, like when you were first, because I imagine they were heavier drummers, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. As a young kid, like a really young kid, I started like around 10, 11. It was Lars, the main guy. And, back then Lars was the man, with Justice for All. That album was like, changed the whole music industry, in my opinion, the metal industry. Who else? Igor Cavalera from Sepultura, Dave Lombardo, all these legendary drummers. But there's always like a huge influence on other or some of my decisions. For example, like Thomas Lang was crucial, for my DVDs. When I saw his second DVD, I was like, okay, this is it. He was the main reason I came up with my first DVD, Intense Metal Drumming. Or the Brass Project is, I would say, for sure, Stanton Moore.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that was it's kind of, I was going into like who were some of the, you mentioned a few influences first, but going back to like the sounds like at the time when the records you mentioned with Lars, like that was the cutting edge, was it not? I mean, I think like I don't know, I'm 50, so I don't know if we're close in age, but the fastest thing I had heard back then was like Rain in Blood by Slayer. That was like the fastest thing I had heard up to that point.
It was faster even back then, but I don't know, Metallica was like pretty much a little bit easier to get into, like for example, I met many kids who became Nile fans after they become Slipknot fans. So they listen to, they get into the blast beats and fast double bass, and then they hear the faster double bass and, they just want to go a little bit more extreme, So Metallica was like really popular, like it is now, of course. And Lars was, he had the whole thing, like a big, nice drum set, the sound. It was like one of the first bands or first albums. The drums are really out there in the mix that you can hear everything. So everything.
And it's really interesting. I didn't really know, like, so when you say Thomas Lang and you were getting into like more the technical players, it's like, like, were you seeing Thomas with he's like known in the drum world. Like Thomas is another guy. He plays lots of pop gigs and he plays everything. But like you were checking out like his like, I mean, when I first saw him at a Modern Drummer Festival, I was like, I cannot believe what this guy is doing. Like, so was it like drum inspiration that you were applying to the intense metal music you were playing?
Absolutely. You're talking about Thomas, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Big inspiration. Good friend of mine as well. But he was definitely like to me he's the most he's got the perfect technique. That's it. Even a double bass, because every time we meet, he's like, man, your singles. I'm like, dude, like my singles are okay, fast, but you play everything on your feet. I can't play paradiddles, that fast, or doubles, the way he plays.
Yeah.
So his foot technique is out of this world, 100%. But the DVD, I think, it's worth my money. That was a main key. Like, I bought it and I watched it like 1,000 times, I don't know. And I was getting stuff because it was really well organized. He was explaining all the stuff like really well.
Yeah.
So that's why he was also my inspiration to make my first DVD, which I thought would be like a garage DVD. It was like bad lighting, bad sound, I would say. Like, it was like really, I don't know, like I will never expect to sell the way it sold. So then I was getting orders like hundreds. I'm like, what have I done? So yeah, it was weird. But I think there's a lot of material there and organized. And I think whoever bought it felt the same I felt with buying Thomas's DVDs. It's worth my money, and I got stuff out of it.
Well, you're a very humble man. I mean, your playing is incredible, and the DVD. I think that's a great point you make about just educational products in general. Like, when I, being at Hudson, when I saw the product, even though we distributed, so I didn't, I wasn't with you, when it was organized like I am sometimes. That money that you spend on a lesson with somebody or on their DVD or their book, it's like it can just keep giving you those benefits over time if the author has spent time. So with that Thomas DVD, it's like huge to hear you say, like, you sat with it and you worked through those things, So with your technique, at the way, I'm sure you get like tons of questions about technique and speed and stuff like that. But one thing that I wonder is, so now it seems to me you're expanding your vocabulary, or not your vocabulary, but your desire of what you want to work on and what you want to practice in your artistic output. Do you have like a maintenance routine to keep the speed that you have, or do you reach a certain point where it's like you just have it and you don't need to practice it anymore?
That's a good question. If I don't play that fast, like extreme death metal, for like 6 months, like not at all, okay, then I think in a couple of days I'll be just fine. So I think once you got it, it's there. But I also have a routine for my band, not for me, for my band. So I will in normal days, because now I have a lot of recording, so I can't really practice on this kit and perform on this kit, because I never practice on the big kit. So what I do is like I will come here and practice on the small kit, and when I get tired mentally, then I will go on the big drum set and play a set list. So I will have like 3, sometimes as we get closer to a tour, maybe 6 shows by myself here. So I play a full show, no breaks, just a little bit, imagine like the singer is talking, and so I just go through the set list, and that will keep me in shape 100%, but also keep me in shape with the songs, which now songs are not easy.
Right.
They're not easy. I'm telling you, like, I played with many death metal bands. We toured with pretty much every death metal band, but man, our songs are the toughest ones by far.
Yeah.
There's so many. I mean, okay, speed is one thing. So if you have to play at 270, a blast beat, that means your right foot plays 8 notes at 270, which is, you're killing yourself, right? Your hands playing 16s at 270. So my band will make it even more tough for me, and we'll have like 5/4s and 7/4s and 4/4s and then 9/4s. So then the accent will be on a different spot. So 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, which it's actually 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5. So you can't really flow as you flow with the fours. All I'm trying to say is, like, you have to play the songs.
Yeah.
Otherwise you can't go, live.
It sounds to me like that. So you're, I guess I was asking it more in terms of like the speed factor and the muscle conditioning, but you're working up the set list thing there's the endurance factor of being able.
Oh yeah, that will do it.
Yeah, that's
that
a
will
huge,
do it.
yeah, of course. When you let me see if I can ask this question in such a way that it makes sense. So like all of us who teach drums and play drums get asked about how do you get fast? Okay.
Yeah.
When you were working on the top speeds, okay, when you push against the top and you start to tense up and spaz out, right? When you get to that spaz out threshold, like did you spend a lot of time pushing against that threshold where you were
Yes.
playing like in an uncomfortable like thing, and did that help you get faster, or was it like only stay relaxed all the time?
The relaxed thing, I think it's a myth. In a way, it's true. You have to stay like you got to be relaxed. Show me one drummer who plays 1 foot blast beats or 60 notes normal like singles, because now there's a new thing with doubles and the 2 foot blast. So pretty much instead of going 8 notes with 1 foot, they split it with 2 feet. Okay, so that's the well-known blast beat now. But back then was the 1 foot, and unfortunately, I chose to do the 1 foot. So, and then 16ths, you go with singles, or the new fashion is like kind of like a buzz thing with doubles, which will get you there in about 3 days, and the other thing, the singles will get you there in about 10 years. So it's a big difference. So you have to insist. You have to insist. And what I always advise my students, I'm like, if you want to play fast, you got to do it every day. You got to have a routine, no matter what. Like every day, play double bass for 15 minutes nonstop. At first, nobody can do it because you feel the burn in your on your legs and all this stuff. But day by day, it gets less pain. You relax a little bit more, but when you have to push, of course, you will give everything. So you can't be 100% relaxed. So you have to stay there every single day. You have to play every day. And unfortunately, not many people do it.
Yeah.
From my students, I'm like, just do it and call me in 2 months. Nobody called me yet.
It's some wise guy person said to me, we were talking about this, like, you want to play fast? Practice playing fast. It's like sort of like the obvious. You know what? Archer has a question. I'm going to put it up here just because we're on the topic. Does this? And thank you, Archer. He always here, always watching our interviews. He's a wonderful player and always involved. Does the swivel technique come to you naturally, or did you specifically practice that?
Thanks for the question. I did practice it actually, and here's a funny story which I told sometimes before. The swivel thing, I got it from somebody else. It was a big thing actually around 91, 93, somewhere there. And hoping that will do something for me, right? But it doesn't really do much. And one day I remember I was in South Carolina, in the States, rehearsing with Niall. And I told one of my guitar players, I'm like, man, look at this. I stopped swiveling. And it was perfectly, everything was like dead on, So I just tried to get away from it because, like I said, it wasn't doing much. But then I saw on a forum, somebody called me the king of swivel. And everybody loved it, and everybody was like, yeah, I love what George is doing. So I'm like, I'll keep it.
Okay. Cool.
That's the truth.
That's great.
It doesn't really do much. Maybe we'll do a little bit balance-wise.
Yeah.
It's like you see like some drummers when they swing and they have that thing, yeah. So maybe a little bit for balance, and that's it.
That's good to know. You mentioned too, when it comes to the odd groupings and odd times and stuff like that, when you did you listen to prog, or and more important, like, did you shed like Gary Chaffee stuff with odd groupings, or did you just learn to play odd shit, like odd stuff for excuse me, I'm sorry. This is a family show, my bad. Did you practice Chaffee stuff or any of the famous books for odd groupings and things like that?
Some of it, yes, but I always try to get away from exercises, okay, and just try to go also my own way. So and with my teacher, we work on some stuff, and then just get the metronome like 1916 and go. That's it, go, and try to solo over it and return, hit the one and return the beat. Man, that's a pretty much a daily routine for me. I love all time signatures. I just love them, so I put it like a 5 or 7, 7/4, 7/8 or something, and just try to come up with like a groove. And then, for example, let me give you a quick example. So you play doom, so kick drum, doom, so I'm just adding more kicks, then more ghost notes, then mess a little bit on the hi-hat with some some little accents and some doubles, spice it up a little bit more and just build it. And then of course get on the solo part, which is I always get lost, of course.
But you have to get lost to get found again, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm preparing myself for a live situation because if I have to play with a Royal Time Machine like a 7/8, and then there is a solo, it's not gonna come like from the skies. I have to get myself way before the live, way before the show, in that situation.
Man, it's inspiring to hear you talk about those new things. We're coming to that, I promise. But you said a magic word before about the Sabian Education Network, at least. You mentioned a teacher. Who was the teacher? Who was that person that?
Yannis Stavropoulos. Yannis is one of my best friends. He's my mentor. He's the reason I got into swing, and man, he's always there. Like everything I need, even like a couple days ago, Yannis, always get the phone and just call him. So it's he did change my drumming 100%, but it's also a mental thing, like having on my side on the brass project, for example, he got all the songs and he corrected every song, like explaining stuff. With the fusion thing, Royal Time Machine, my other band, he got all the songs and he corrected so many things for me because, okay, maybe I can play the groove. Maybe that solo is killer. But there are some rules in fusion music which you don't know unless you play fusion. Mm-hmm. So I had to have help from him and Manius as well, who's a great fusion drummer, and a Sabian fellow as well. Yeah. So yeah, that's Yannis, one of the best teachers in the world, like guarantee.
Oh, that's so great to hear that. And by the way, for those who might have missed it, Menos was a guest of Don Famularo on the SEN Spotlight a few weeks back. George was gracious enough to come on as a special guest for that. So all you guys and gals watching, go back to the Sabian YouTube channel, and all of our old sessions are there, and find the one with Menos. He was a wonderful guest, and George.
And listen to his music. Incredible album. That's a great album. Like one of my favorite ones.
So we've been skirting around this. I'm going to put it right up here, George. Drum Talk Rushes. Do you have plans to make something besides metal? So, guys, what we've been talking about, what George has been referring to obliquely, which now we're going to get into, is his material that's coming out that is in these other styles. So, why don't we talk about the Fusion project in a little more detail? Like, what's the inspiration behind it? What's coming?
I finished the drums like 2 weeks ago or something, and right now we are finishing bass. We're actually almost finished, and I think we're missing some of the solos, which my guitar player Yannis, he wants to redo the solos, although the existing solos are, but he's a perfectionist and I like it. Right. So yeah, I mean, we're almost there, and we're gonna start mixing. It's 9 songs. Took a lot of time, a lot of dedication from my side. Royal Time Machine was the main reason to go back to practice for like 7 hours or 8 hours a day for some period. Wow. And I have the pleasure to play with 2 amazing players. We're a trio. Michael Evdemon, which is the bass player. He's a jazz bass player, and Yannis Papadopoulos, the guitar player, he's a guitar shredder. He also plays for Scott Stapp in the States.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So me and Yannis were actually wanted to start a new thing. I don't know. We didn't know it's going to be fusion or something, but we wanted to mix it up a little bit. And then we found Michael, the bass player, and oh my God, man, you got to hear this guy. So I feel so complete to have to be Nile, and then the desire to do a little bit of different music to play with these guys, I feel blessed.
That's so great. And the track you sent me last night, we always have a little catch up powwow before we go live, and it's great because I get to catch up with all my buddies like George and everything. And you sent me a track last night. That was Royal Time Machine track you sent me last night, right?
Yes. Okay. The song is called Robo Mode. I think we posted a little bit of this. Just was a drum groove or something. A little video I did for Facebook.
Right. Well, that for those of you guys who hadn't heard it, mentioned, and it's just for the sake of comparison, Dave Weckl, Gary Novak, these players that inspired him in that style. But man, it's right in there. I mean, it's you sound like so comfortable in playing fusion, and it's pretty amazing that like not very many players can, like that. Just from teaching so long, the it's not just the notes you play; it's the touch, it's the sound.
Yes. Yes.
So I don't know. Did you spend a lot of time working on your, the back to basics kind of approach of how you're playing to do this, the funk stuff and the brass stuff and the fusion stuff, or?
The basics, not the basics, because I teach for many years. So the basics they're always there on the table. So I have to go through them all the time. So I don't need to go back. It's a daily thing almost. But I did spend some time, a lot of time, being able to play some grooves. Spend a lot of time with the solos. I spend a lot of time listening to my guitar player and bass player and try to play with them, So for the brass thing, because these are connected, they're like the new directions.
Right.
There is the song Terra Deserta, which you just started the show with it.
Yeah.
That groove, I spent a couple of weeks. Spent a couple of weeks to be able to play that groove. It's got a lot of ghost notes. It's got some on the upbeat. But the main problem was the hi-hat. The hi-hat goes like a taga 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 taga, all the time. It doesn't stop.
Right.
So I was like, getting some pain here. I was like, that's I don't have this when I play blast beats, So
that's huge. It's like maybe because it's like a different feel. Should I play a second of the groove again so people can hear it since we're talking about it?
Oh yeah.
Let me see.
It's got two grooves. The one at the beginning, it's the one with the weird ghost notes, and the other one has more accents, like upbeat accents.
Is this one of them?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, you sound great. The other guy, the other musicians sound great too. Really in the pocket.
Well, for now, most of them are midis.
Oh, really? Oh,
for the brass, yeah. I mean, this is a demo. This is a demo. So I did a few guitars for some other songs, and there's a lot of MIDI stuff. Some of my friends which already played for it. Right. So I have real musicians. I have some MIDI stuff. And now, actually, I'm thinking to get some great musicians also from US.
Oh, cool.
So it's not complete yet. It's not complete.
That bass sounds pretty convincing on there, dude. It sounded pretty real. So you the techniques, some of the technique that you alluded to that you might use on a daily basis playing with Nile. Yep. You're learning different things, different ways to new touches, new ways to hit.
Not really, but I like the feel of it's. For example, let me clear this up. Nile is it's a really weird band. It's not like all the other death metal bands. That's why I'm there for like more than 16 years. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of evolution in there. That's why I love what I love, about Nile. Right. So right now we're thinking about a more like funky approach for the next Nile album, which is going to be obviously in a couple of years. I don't know with what's going on, So for example, like in metal, you always hit the one, bam. Okay, so what if we get a more funky approach and go for the 2 or the 1E. You know, the 1 you know, like, or the 4 like stuff like that. So the fusion thing and funk, you know, the brassing, it helps me to be a little bit more creative. But for technique, I don't really think so, because you know that Terra Deserta groove, I had to play with fingers, like just keep it like that. So I have my left hand free to do all these accents, you know, and the ghost notes.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I play fast with fingers.
Wow.
Because for Nile, it's all wrist.
Yeah, there was a question about that earlier. You know what? Yeah. You actually articulated, and you know we're going to get to teaching. Oh my gosh, the time goes by so quick. It's 2:30 already. I could go all day with you. There's so many things to talk about. But you just articulated a great point, which is that when you delve deep into something else, even if you're not playing it in your main band, there's always a cross-pollination that happens. Like, why should a metal drummer or a rock drummer practice jazz? It's just going to make you a better player. You're going to take some of those concepts and put them to work, and it's going to make you sound more unique in all of your playing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to open your mind a little bit, a lot more, actually. Yeah.
I was going to say, real fast, Simon Bjarning. Hey, Simon, another great SEN member who's always with us. Just real quick, any particular Gary or Dave recordings that you want to tell people to go back and check out? Gary Novak or Dave Weckl, things that really inspired you?
Pretty much everything, but it was mostly live stuff, you know, like go on YouTube, and especially Gary Novak, because Dave, you know, I know Dave a little bit more. Gary Novak, I think he's a legend, but you know, people should know him a little bit more, in my opinion. You know, it's really, really weird. But yeah, I was checking a lot of live videos, and you know, just get in the mood. And of course, anything on YouTube. So it was a rush thing every day for an hour or more, and it helped a lot to get in the mood before you go on the drum set and start recording.
That's great. Matt Garska gave me I think it might have been a bootleg. I'm not sure, but you should look for it. It's a Paint the World tour with Gary on it.
Yeah,
and it's blazing beyond belief. So
I'm sure
that's one that I really. Okay, so actually, George, you know what? What can you like show us the fusion kit? Like, where you have both. You're sitting between. Just tell us what's going on there. You're sitting between two drum sets.
Yeah, that's. 1 second. That's my studio here in Athens.
Nice.
Let me change camera. So there you go. Okay. So this is actually like it's a booth. It's not a studio, like a recording studio. It's a big drum booth to fit 2 drum sets. And this is a fusion kit, right?
Nice. What kind of
legacy hats, 14. The Extreme Crash, also HHX. Legacy Ride, 21-inch. I got a Studio Crash here. There you go. Yeah. The XSR, the stack, which is beautiful.
Oh, nice.
And the Evolution.
Yeah, so some definite thinner cymbals and jazzier cymbals on there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, obviously, I got way more cymbals depending on the track, especially for the brass project, so I'll use different ones. And now this is the bass drum. Apparently has like it's a double pedal, and there's another kick, which I play with the slate pedal. It's an 18-inch.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is it. Oh, there's a splash here too. I forgot about it.
Oh, cool. The legacies are great because they're dark and thin, but they're still really versatile. The legacies and the evolutions, both of Dave's lines are so versatile.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You want to check the other one too?
Sure. Yeah, let's check it out.
Okay.
Love seeing the gear.
Let me go.
Do you and so you use that slave kick drum on the fusion kit for playing like more of the jazz stuff? Oh, I'm not sure. We may have lost George for a second here.
No, I got it.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Okay. Can you hear me?
So, yes, I think we have a delay or something. But anyways, I will keep going. This is an Evolution Ride 20-inch. 18-inch crash. And there you go. Lots of AAX and HHX. Can you hear me?
Cool. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a delay when you switch to that other device there.
I think it's the camera. There you go.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think that was close. That's good. So, and you were
that camera, when you go with the other camera, probably the signal gets a little bit messed up. But yeah.
So, and is that the space that you use? Oh, well, first I was going to say you'll switch out some of the cymbal models depending on, what you're doing, like what
yeah.
project you're doing with?
I do a lot of recording sessions here on the big drum set. Hopefully some on the other kit as well soon. But lots of metal bands or even some rock bands. So yeah, I will switch. I do play a lot with the right cymbals. Usually I have my Leopards, HH, which are like very versatile, I would say. But I also have I got a Mega Bell hand hammer, which is a beast. That's a beast, and that's a gift actually from my good friend Hellhammer from the band Mayhem. It was a custom order, and he made 3, and all of a sudden he gave me one. He was like, "You can have it." I'm like, "There you go." So man, that's so metal. It's like no overtones, like ping. That's it,
So I had a previous guest. We were talking about that. There was a Broadway show, Rock of Ages, that I played, and John Weber, the drummer, has that Mega Bell ride. It's like you can if you need to play a gig blindfolded, just get that because you can't miss the bell.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to put up, just so I don't forget, George. People can find out about latest recordings and things on your site. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I do post very often on Facebook and Instagram, but I also keep my website updated as well.
Great. So people should go there to find out the latest. And as far as the new projects, you'll update about releases and stuff on the site and on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. But right now, for the brassing, I'm starting to record very soon the final drums. And then, of course, some other musicians will have to record for me. And we have to start mixing the debut with Royal Time Machine. So I would say it will take like a couple months, maybe.
That's great. I know you talked about more of the technical setup in the last thing when you were a guest with Dom. So we won't go into that too deep. But are you like, the Pro Tools guy? Like you do all the recording yourself, send out tracks on records, like you're pretty expert on recording, or do you have an engineer? What do you do there?
I do have an engineer, which he will come here and check the mics and get the levels and everything, because I'm not, I'm not into this stuff. Okay. So actually, I got 2. Jim Turas is a good friend of mine. He's my personal, help for the studio.
Right.
But also Alexi Cato, our sound guy with Nile. He came by like many times to help me, with mixers and everything. And the way I do for sessions, it's way easier. I use Logic, and I do have my setup here. Both drum sets are mic'd up, with the famous Sound Hoops mics, which are tiny. Let me show you this. This is really interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see them right here. Yeah. This is it. They sound amazing.
Wow.
I'm blown away, and thankfully I'm an endorser as well. So
are those like
a great relationship?
Like a little condensers?
Yes, and they actually come with the hoop, which has like a little base for the mic that you just slide it in, And I do use the hoops live, but for my studio, I have to use some clamps, and that's it.
And
so, yeah.
I'm sorry, just one more recording question. When you do, like, I know you did a Nile record there, like you're set up to do like it's a pro studio, like you can comp takes, like you can do multiple
Yes.
takes and edit and the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, the editing is like up to a point.
Right.
For example, I will record something and then I will send to the band. What do you think? Some bands are like, "Oh, that's perfect." Some other ones, they're like, "Oh, there's lyrics there," and I had no idea because I only usually work with only guitars and click. So I have to come back and punch in that part and do something different if they ask me. But I'm not going to go like way too deep with the technical side. It's mostly like recording and deliver all the data, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. And is that the same? Do you have the same setup, audio setup, for recording and online lessons, or is it different?
No, it's the same one. Yeah.
Okay. Is that a big TV I see behind you, like a big video screen?
No, that's like a computer. My computer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, so let's let's pivot a little bit and talk about the educational stuff. So I know you've been teaching at schools and physically for a long time, but like everybody else, you've been teaching online. But in your case, you've been teaching online for a long time before the pandemic hit, right?
Yeah, for almost 11 and a half years or more. I don't know. The online thing, I have the online school, which I used to call it premium lessons. It's like pre-recorded videos. So with a yearly subscription, somebody can be a part of it, and they get one lesson per month.
Okay.
But it's a long one. It's like up to 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes 15. It depends on what we work on. Full PDFs and a lesson overview. So if you have it on a folder and you go like 6 months later, you get some advice to what to practice. So it's kind of like it's actually exactly like my DVD. Same thing, like multicam, great sound, but it's like 20 minutes, and they get a lot of these. Now with the pandemic, obviously I had to go. Actually, there was some new technology that we got introduced. So I was like, man, I want to take this live, and it's actually the best thing I ever did with lessons. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. I'm teaching someone in the States, then I go to Colombia, then Greece, and then it's fantastic. It's really, really nice.
That's great. I was just looking at the site. I was going to the other tab. So if people want to check out the online school, is it on georgekollias.com or?
Yeah. All the information is there, but the easiest way is like for everybody to send me an email, and I can guide them with everything.
Okay. And
there's also one clip on my YouTube, which is youtube.com/GK Drummer. Which actually that was like a little promo for the lessons, and you can see all the different scenes because it's a multicam, like a lesson. Hear the sound, like pretty much everything. So you get like 100% an idea of what's going on.
Okay, I just put everybody. I put in the comments youtube.com/GK Drummer, and then if people want to check out the school or whatever, when you say email, they can do it through the site, right?
Yeah. My email is on the website, george@georgekollias.com.
Oh, okay.
Not on Facebook or Instagram. I don't do this. So
okay. So
usually I'm not answering there. Yeah.
I'll type it in because there's a couple people are asking right now. So let me type it in. george@georgekollias.com, and you can find out all about that. So that's a pretty cool model. So it's their long lessons. So you can spend, you get like one per month. Is that what you said? Is that kind of how it's supposed to?
Yeah, for the online thing, but for the live thing, we go with Skype.
Yeah. Just talking about the online school.
Yeah.
So you can check that out, and then you can.
Sorry about this.
That's you can it's a different model than some of the other sites I've seen where you're saying some of the offerings are really long, like it's more in depth, so you'd go back and practice for a while, come back a month later, whereas like a lot of these have like a 2-minute lesson with like one groove. This is a little deeper.
Yeah, I mean, as a business, if it was a business for me, I will probably go with shorter clips, but more. So
Right.
it's the groove. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to be honest, but all I want is actually, it's like to have that private lesson approach. And me and the student, I have some students for 10 years, believe it or not, like seriously.
Yeah.
And we have this, although we never met, there's a private lesson vibe, on the lessons. And I try to do the same with the Skype lessons. So I always keep my Skype on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have a question, like if you take a lesson on Monday and Wednesday, you're like, man, I don't remember, so just they send me a message, I reply. If necessary, we can go live and solve any problems,
Mm-hmm.
So I like to keep it like more like a private lesson. They have a private lesson with me. I know them. I get to meet them, and we have, it goes a little bit beyond. It's not like you go on the website and you see some grooves and you practice.
Right.
Yeah.
And with your private teaching, do you have any requirements for people to come study with you? Do you take all levels? Do you take?
Yes. I mean, you have to. You have to. I mean, if somebody really wants to learn and really wants you as a teacher, what are you going to say? Like, well, come back in 5 years, or you can't. And I actually find it really inspiring. Seriously, I'm very serious right now. To go back to the real basics,
Mm-hmm.
and have to study with a student. And I don't do many private lessons, obviously, right now here.
Mm-hmm.
But when I did, have 2 drum sets and play at the same time, it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just any level.
I think that's, running the Sabian Education Network, that was a totally unscripted. I couldn't have asked for a better response. It's like someone's seeking you out. They want your guidance, and it's beautiful to know that you're like, yeah, if you want me to guide you, I'll do it. That's the essence of all of our members. That's what SEN is all about. So it's and teaching. I'm inspired to hear you say that. Like, I've been noticing it lately too. Just when you're teaching someone, it helps you go back to basics, but it also comes with a responsibility for you to evaluate whether what you're doing is creating progress, right? For the person who's with you. If someone's been with you 10 years, I'm guessing that they think it's money well spent, so, you must spend a lot of time thinking about the curriculum for everybody when you.
Yes. The right way for me to start the student will be, okay, let's go double, singles, paradiddles, like stay with on a pad, for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Or more. I know this is the correct way. I embrace it. And when I see teachers doing that, I'm like, okay, this is the right way. And they do well. Mm-hmm. But I'm not doing it because they get bored. The students get so bored, and they just want to dive into music. And I have like they compromise. I'm like, okay, I will give you something that you have to do, but it's a little bit boring. But then we're going to play some music. And not necessarily sit down and learn songs. That's like used to be lessons, back in 20 years ago or something. But just explain them like the form of music. For example, like when you play a groove, right? You play a groove, 8-note groove, snare 2 and 4. Okay, what should I do with my foot? Well, get the cookbook and get some grooves and practice them, or do some kick displacements. Play the kick drum on the 1, and then on the end, on the 2, go up to 8, or then split them and divide them in 16ths, and play the kick drum on the 1E or the 2E. Mm-hmm. And man, it's relentless. And then on top of that, you're like, okay, do like 3 bars of grooving, like an easy groove or an advanced groove, and then the 4th one has to be a fill. So they get into the form of music, like rock music, which is, I think, what they should start with, in my opinion. And they play music. And then you raise the bar. If you want to add some ghost notes, that's really extreme. If you want to keep it 2/4, it's more simple. So, but they get the formula. And then I just explain them, like, it's up to you to push and become the best. Okay, it's up to the student.
That's great.
I can't make them like amazing drummers. I can show them what I did, or what I'm doing, because I do practice a lot. But man, if you don't spend the time, you know very well it's not going to happen.
That's very true, and it's part of our gig to inspire that. Nice comment from Scott.
Scott.
I'm one of George's current students and highly recommend
Yeah.
it. Instructor.
Yeah.
Amazing and fun. That's nice.
Man, Scott is, I gotta say something. He's like one of these metal drummers with potential. And I got him, into the really difficult stuff, like we got into syncopation, like with the second lesson or something.
Yeah.
And he's discovering he's going new direction. He's doing so well. I'm really, really proud. He's killing it. So hi, Scott.
That's great. So 2 questions about the way you teach. I want to talk about your book, Double Bass Books too, but with your way you approach teaching, do you use, you mentioned a couple of classic drum books, syncopation. So how much do you use the classic books, and do you stay abreast of current other books and videos from other players? And do you incorporate new things in the curriculum, or how does that work?
It depends, but I'm mostly giving my concepts. So I do a lot of notation, like pretty much every day. A lot of stuff from my books, my DVDs mostly, and syncopation will be the most famous one, I would say. Rhythmic Illusion from Gavin Harrison. That's a great book. Yeah. New Breed, which in some ways there are some similarities with syncopation, but depends on the level, depends on the style, because believe it or not, I get many metal drummers, of course, but I get many other drummers who just want to play different stuff, and I'm very proud for this one to have like somebody like I want to groove, and they come to me, and I like it.
Well,
so yeah.
I was going to say not totally not blowing smoke, but even if you watch the way you play on this DVD, your technique is great technique. Like, it's someone who has smooth technique, you can play anything with it, right? So
thank you very much.
I feel like the techniques you show they're not just for playing metal. I mean, they're just good techniques to know. So I think that's great that all these players are checking out what you have to offer.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's talk about the double bass drum books. So I know the forthcoming one, but can you just give me a little, detailed overview? What's in the books? What can we get out of them, and how can they help our students and stuff?
First of all, this is a classic George approach on the books, and what I mean is like, okay, a book usually it's like 100 pages, right, or less.
Well, some are a lot less, but yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Well, this is 200 pages, the first one. And the second one is also 200 pages. I mean, you can even tell from my DVDs, my second DVD is like 5 hours and 40 minutes.
You get your money.
Yeah. What I said about Thomas's DVDs, like I felt my money worth, and I want to do the same for whoever buys my stuff.
Yeah.
But anyways, the whole concept, it's what the title says. It's the Odyssey of a double bass drummer.
Right.
I think it's a really cool title. That's from my ex sound guy in Nile, Mr. Punchy. He came up with the title, and then we divide it in 3 different books, which is going to be 3 levels. One is the beginners, and it's called The Beginning of the Odyssey. The other one is The Journey, which is intermediate level, and the last one is going to be The Arrival, which I wrote like I'm almost halfway. It's going to be released, I don't know, maybe next year. Now we have a lot of free time, so probably going to finish it really soon. So what it does, that book, it gets you from 0 and make you a double bass player. It's got so many. There's a lot of pictures actually about technique and everything.
Oh, cool.
There's positioning and all this stuff. The audio files are online, so you get a code and you go online, so we can update anytime we want. Actually, right now I'm preparing an update on this, which is going to be on videos. So that's it. It's about double bass. I felt there was no books out there about double bass that will get you from 0 and will make you play, I don't know, like septuplets, stuff like that. So it's kind of like taking the student by the hand and just make him a great double bass player. That's the purpose.
Well, I'm looking forward to that new one. I've definitely found that with the double bass literature, there's actually a pretty good bit of it out there now that's like super advanced.
Yeah.
But there's not actually a lot that I consider to be really systematic and good from beginner to intermediate. So I'm going to be checking out. I'm going to be checking this out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's all about the system that you just mentioned, because you can't really dive into deep water, without do some basics, which are not so basics, because on the first one we end up with 32nd notes. They start flying on the first book, anyways.
Yeah, it seems like it's one of those topics that, like, once you dip your toe in the water, it gets pretty quick, pretty deep, pretty quick,
Yeah, some students are like, man, I can't play 32nd notes. I'm like, well, slow down.
Yeah.
And now you can.
It's just another bar on the staff.
Yeah.
And you're good, So George, as we get a little closer to the end, so you're how long have you been with Sabian?
Since 2005. Yeah.
Wow.
Early 2005.
And how many clinics would you say you've done in that time?
Before Sabian?
No, like all together. How many drum clinics?
Oh man, I don't know. There was a year. There was a couple of years. I did about 50 in 1 year, in between tours. That was a tough part. So I do a lot of clinics. I really, really enjoy clinics. It's I would say one of the most fun things to do. I like sharing. I like education. If I can help some people, I like to be there and try to do that. So the clinics were always in my mind, and when I got the chance to start doing clinics, I'm if you ask Sabian as well, but mostly Pearl, every time they offer a clinic, there is never a no. It's always like, let's go.
That's great. That's great. And you do you like doing drum clinics, like when you're on the road, like between shows and things like that?
That's difficult. I tried that, and I did not too many. I did some in Europe. I did a couple in the States, some in South America, because you don't have that many opportunities, to go
right
in Bogota, for example, for a clinic. Mm-hmm. So I grabbed the chance to do it, but man, it's like the time schedule is so tight, and sometimes I was like right at the edge, to miss the show or, all this stuff. If I had days off, which is something that we almost forget these days. Yeah, I mean, we book tours and we have like 16 shows in a row, and then we have a day off.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. But, we're like, what the hell is this? And everybody gets pissed. But then we're like, let's do it. We want to do it. Can we do it? Because it's really, really intense music, going out there every day, killing it. Then your muscles become really, really tense, and I'm not sure I can do 16 shows in a row. So the last tour we did, we did. We had 3 days off in a 45 days tour.
That's crazy. I'm sorry, but that's crazy. But you're obviously a very strong man to be able to get through that. So that's pretty awesome.
or too stupid.
Well, I'm sure the strength is the major part of it. And then, so it's great to hear you're so enthused about talking about everything that it's cool to hear that you like the interplay of the clinics. And same thing with the drum festivals.
Yes. Oh, these way more fun.
Now, what are, just real quick, what are the maybe the one or two great memories of a drum festival? Maybe one that was even held in Greece or something, or a camp, or that you really enjoyed.
The UK drum show was a very intense one.
Mm-hmm.
Because man, everybody was there. The room was packed. The London drum show, sorry, not the UK.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
London before they move. It was like 2,500 people or something. So I had to play there. I had really bad sound, but I think I played okay. The crowd is mixed, and that's the most fun part. Like you see like hip hop guys and jazz drummers, and they're like, "What is he doing?" First one. But while I was playing and it was blasting like crazy, I was playing some Nile songs. I looked behind. There was a riser, like a huge riser, and I see right underneath the riser, I see two heads looking like that. Like looking at everything I was doing. One was Thomas Lang, and the other one was Kenny Aronoff.
Nice.
So I said, I can't say the word. I said, it's not really, I got really, really stressed.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, but that's what I wonder if that. I think a lot of us wonder if that stuff happens to the big name guys. Like, but yeah, you see those two guys. When the moment occurs, you realize, I have Thomas Lang and Kenny Aronoff standing 2 feet away from me, listening to every note that I'm playing.
Oh man, it was terrible.
I'm sure you killed it.
It's like on the lab camp. One day I had Chris Coleman and Mike Johnson in the class.
Oh.
They just took a seat and they had practice pads. And, we want to see the class. I'm like,
wow.
Yeah, I love the guys. Very inspired. Especially Chris. He's a drum god. He's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, happened like with the students. That was like it got me really tense. Yeah,
it's so cool because like you've earned your place among that pantheon of amazing players, and it's just so cool. It's not just a story. It's like drummers really do tend to like be open-minded. Like when you went and played the London Drum Show and the jazz guys were there and the jazz girls were there, like we seem to be open to what other new things that we don't know about are happening from another player. I mean, don't you find that too?
I personally think that every style has its impossible moments. Like for example, jazz. You learn how to swing, B, 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 D, hi-hat 2/4, whatever, and then you think you're playing jazz, and then you see Tony Williams, and you're like, what is this? I thought jazz was like meant to be played like really light, and he was killing the drums.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Or pop music. Pop music, okay, less feels, less notes in general, but man, you might be playing for 100,000 people.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's really, really challenging. So I think every style has its moments and some really difficult levels that you can, it's hard. It's hard.
Wow.
For metal, it's more like physical. For death metal, it's more like a muscle thing. Unless if you're playing for Nile, then you have a lot of 9s and 7s and 11s here, 13/16s. We have a song with 13/16. Which have to do like a little illusion and just change the group actually, and sounds like an illusion, but it's very simple. So yeah, that's the most challenge with our music.
The Nile show. Someone asked Neil Peart one time, and if you ever stood next to Neil and watched him play, he hit really hard.
Yeah.
So, but someone asked him one time, "What does it feel like to play a Rush show? 3 hours of hitting like," and his answer was, it's like running a marathon while solving equations. So it made me think of that. The Nile.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the crowd though that will give you like that extra boost.
Yeah.
That's why I played sick many times. I was like really, really sick, and when you get on stage, you're fine. So
there's a thing that takes over. You have to get through it. But I tell you, man, it's doing these interviews. It's just been so wonderful to get and share information with top professionals. And you're such a pro, man. The comments have been great. We have people watching from all over the world, as you know, different countries from Russia to South America. But I've always been impressed with you because you're an artist at the top of your game. You're pushing yourself into another place, another style that you clearly love, and it sounded great. But when you look at what you're doing with your studio, everything's thought has gone into everything. The educational offerings are really well organized. Your books, your DVDs, you're inspiring people with lessons. I mean, you're just kind of doing it all. And even with the pandemic, it seems like you're busier than ever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I miss my band to death. I just want to go live, man. I will just go and play for free right now, like anytime, and many shows as well. I really miss my band, miss that live thing. But since I have my studio and I was always doing sessions, now it's a little bit more, so it kind of helps to make it through, I guess. And also, I would say the reason I'm doing sessions, it's not obviously it's about money as well, but it's not only about money, because sometimes I will play for a hard rock band, so I have to go and study some Skid Row or bands like that. Some other times I will play like speed metal bands, and it's really really inspiring. Because some people think you're a metal drummer, man. What we do and what the band Halloween, for example, do, it's completely the opposite. So they have to study me, I have to study them. So it's kind of like that. So it's a very fun thing to do, and thankfully right now is what we have for work. So I'm grateful.
That's great. You find I'm inspired because you find the inspiration in all these different things, and that's great. And I don't know, man. I think that however this pandemic comes to an end, and it eventually will, I think that people are going to be starved to see us play out live again and go out and go on tour, and the people will be dying for it. I mean,
yeah.
Do you think so?
I'm pretty sure you're 100% correct. And we're also, man, we're so hungry to do shows.
Yeah.
But my band is in the States. Like I can't even see them and hang out, or something. So it's really tough for us,
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm hoping that, for us here, all of our friends that are watching today, thank you for being here with us. At least doing these kinds of things, we keep a lifeline open. I have to say, like it's, you try to look for the silver lining, and it's been nice for us to, all go back and share information with each other, inspire each other, discover these new things. And hopefully when we come out on the other side, everybody's going to be just kicking butt at a higher level. I just want to put one more comment up here from Menyos. He says, you're the dedicated person he knows.
You don't know too many. No, I am, and Menyos is the same. Every time we talk, like we agree on everything, and we kind of move in the same directions, just different styles.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, dedication. I think it's everything. It's everything.
Well,
you need to put the hours on that instrument, otherwise, no.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, you walk the walk when it comes to that. So, George, I thank you for giving us an hour of wisdom and stories, inspiration, all the stuff we talked about today. Sabian is very lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Really pleased to have you, and certainly your philosophies are right up there in line with the Sabian Education Network. So,
thanks so much. It was a pure pleasure, and I think what you do is like really, really inspiring for so many people. So I hope you keep doing it even after the pandemic, right? Yeah. So hopefully.
Yes. Well, Sabian Education Network will continue. We're working on some actually interesting ideas for next year. I'm in the process of, don't want to say too much about it yet, but we're going to kind of take things to another level with maybe some more focused classes, but we'll keep the conversation going here. Everybody, make sure you check out georgekollias.com, the online school, the books, the Odyssey of Double Bass, the Intense Metal Drumming DVDs, his band projects, especially the new brass project, all his recordings with Nile, and Royal Time Machine. Yeah. Royal Time Machine, which George is absolutely crushing on. So you guys really enjoy that. And that's it. I hope, George, you have a good rest of your year. I'll pull you back in here at some point.
Okay. Anytime.
And all you guys will be back next week. We do have, I have next Friday, I think, the great Jeff Bowders, a wonderful double bass drummer who also teaches at Musicians Institute in Hollywood. And Dom will be back on Thursday. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. George, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye, guys. See you next time.